Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Taylor Hazelton, and in this video I'll be going over how to create a comic book interior, more specifically a blank comic book interior using free resources. Before we get started, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and feel free to comment below how you're doing, anything new going on in your life. I love getting to know you guys, and after this video, if you have any feedback, suggestions, tips, tricks, anything like that, please feel free to comment those as well. And please check out the resources I have in the description below, as well as any of my other YouTube videos, in case you're interested. Alright, now let's get started. So first, going to want to head on over to Canva. Canva has a free and a pro version. You can definitely do this with the free version, so don't worry if you don't have the pro version. And what you want to do is head on over to create a design in the top right hand corner, and then do custom size. And this is going to change depending on your comic book. So before creating your comic book, definitely do some research and figure out certain niche you want to get into, and then figure out what size you want your book to be, how many pages, what your target audience is, what keywords you'll be using. These will all be essential before you create your book, because you want to make sure what you're creating is for the audience that you're targeting. So for this, I'll be doing 8.5 by 11. Now you can either do this with bleed or without bleed. I do have a video on that in case you're unsure of the difference. I personally will be doing this without bleed. It's just my preference for this comic book and for this example. But with Amazon KDP, you can do whatever you want because it's your own business with your own creativity. So feel free to do whatever size you would like to, include bleed or no bleed, depending on your preference. So I already opened it up in another tab just to save some time, and I already labeled it comic book example. So I'm just going to give it a minute to load here. Sometimes it can be a little bit slow, so that's why I tried opening it up beforehand, but obviously it decided to be slow anyways, which is fine. So cool, here we go. So I labeled it comic book example up here in the top. And honestly, these are so simple to make, and you can be so creative with them, or as simple as you want to be. Like, honestly, I feel like there's so many different possibilities. So on the left-hand side, you can just search for square. I already have it in my recently used, and I'll show you what it's named, square with border. So I'm just going to click this one, and it's free. There's no crown here or anything. I'm going to change the inside to white, and I'm going to change the outline of it to black. So here we go. Now I have an outline. And just be aware, if you aren't doing bleed, to be mindful of your margins. Regardless, be mindful that even if you do use bleed, sometimes things do still get cut off. So definitely keep that in mind. So depending on how thick you want your line to be, you might want to use a different element for this, or you could use separate lines themselves. I'll also show you how to do that in a minute, but honestly, this is a simple way to create them. So I'm just going to hit copy and paste, so Control C and Control V for my computer. I'm going to make this bigger. I'm going to do a rectangle one down here. And then I'll do some small ones. Let's bring this back up. Just make sure you make them big enough so that people can draw and write in them. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky, but it depends on the size book that you have as well. Since this is an 8.5 by 11, most likely these will be perfectly fine. So this is just a super rough copy. Obviously, I'd want to take some more time on this and go research what kind of templates people want and what people are really interested in. But that's just one simple way to do it. So that would work as a comic book. And another way, if you want to get more technical, is you can take these lines. So this would just be the line option. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees or negative 90 degrees. Going to match it up on the corner. Going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to make a square. And then I'm going to highlight all of them and group them together. So now that these are all separate, I can adjust what the lines are. I can adjust the thickness if I want them dotted or not, and I can adjust the line weight. So this makes them thick and this makes them thin. So I encourage you before you group them together, because you'll have to do each individual line, to figure out what your line weight is. So you can make it thicker like that or thinner, and you'd have to go around and do all of them. So figure out what thickness you want before you group them together. But this is just an example. I would want all of them to be the same thickness, but I'm just showing you for the sake of this tutorial what is possible. So this is another way that you can create them, and you can make the lines longer or shorter, and you can fully customize it to however you would like. And then once they're grouped together, I can just hit copy and paste and do the same thing that I did before. And I can make them bigger if I wanted to. This would be a giant one. I'm not sure I would do one with only 3 on here, but maybe if there's a demand for it, then that'd be perfectly fine. And when I made it bigger, it did adjust how thick the lines were, it looks like. It still says 5, but you can definitely tell that they're darker because I expanded them. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. It's a little bit more tricky, but it is another way to create your comic book. So I'm just going to delete these. Another way is to just search in Canva for like comic book. There are a bunch of things that will come up, and some of them are free, some of them aren't. You can tell by the little crown here. For example, these are speech bubbles, so I'll scroll back up to the one we already created. So if you want to add speech bubbles, they have a bunch to use. This is a pro version speech bubble, but you get the idea. This one's for free right here, and a bunch of them allows you to adjust their colors, things like that. So there I just added some super awesome speech bubbles. There's some amazing graphics here like this POW, and this would be color. So again, keep that in mind. If you're printing in black and white, you probably will want to make sure everything's black and white. Or if you want there to be color, make sure you choose color when uploading your book. There are just so many options. I mean, they have this graphic with all of these, and you can double click it and then take out whatever one you want if you only wanted to use one of them. Now I just have this, and there's just so many possibilities with Canva. They also have some templates. You just have to scroll down far enough to find them. So this is another pro version one, but this would be another great example of one that you can use. So I'm just going to change the inside to white, and then I'm just going to copy paste, and I'm going to flip the image vertically. And then I'm going to flip it horizontally. And then I get an image just like that, and I could add some squares down here at the bottom or a rectangle, and that is just another way that you can create a comic book. Let me just delete that real quick. They also have some pre-made templates like this one down here. I'm not a huge fan of the pre-made templates because they're really hard to adjust and work with, but it's definitely something that you could use. And you can just adjust the color to make it how you would like it. But they do have so many free options, like this speech bubble over here. This is another free option. They definitely have more pro, obviously, but that's perfectly fine. You can still do this free, as I showed you in the beginning, and get creative with it. Go on Amazon, look at all the other books, what they're doing, the styles and templates they have, and just make it your own. Figure out what people like, and try to do your best to create something that they'll be interested in. So I really hope that this was helpful. I know it was a very quick, simple tutorial. If you have any questions though, please feel free to ask them in the comments below. I know I probably didn't go over everything here, so if there's anything I missed or something that you would like clarification on, please just comment below and I will do my best to help answer that question. So thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I appreciate all of the support so much. You guys are truly incredible, so thank you again for the support, and I hope you have a wonderful day.